What's up? This is Luke Hottinger. This is my presentation on climate change and impacts on human health for ABE 170A2. So basically, many people see global warming as a negative impact on our environment, but in reality it's affecting our health as humans too. The influences of climate and weather on human populations around the world can vary. Climate change can cause a variety of different health issues related to natural disasters, poor air quality, vector-borne disease, and other weather-related illness. Climate change affects human health in two main ways. First, it changes the frequency and severity of health problems that are already affected by factors in the weather or climate. And second, climate change creates unprecedented and unanticipated health threats in areas that they normally do not occur. It does not just infect the environment, but over the years it has proved detrimental to human health. So, climate change can lead to a series of events that can compound together to devastate human health. Areas that are not normally affected can also experience severe problems due to climate change, such as toxic algal bloom or waterborne disease. Due to climate change, the severity and frequency of climate-based phenomena such as droughts, heavy rain, and ever-rising temperatures are changing. Areas that already experience weather that affects local health are likely to experience ever-worsening impacts. Climate change also means that some areas will be exposed to new climate-related health threats to their population. An example of this is the development of toxic algal blooms and waterborne diseases, which we kind of already talked about. So also some places that already experience these threats may see an increase in the severity and frequency of stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So drastic changes in temperature can negatively affect human health in many ways. Temperature change can increase the severity of pre-existing conditions in the cardiovascular as well as the respiratory system. When the temperature is hotter or colder than the average seasonal temperature in the summer or winter, climate change can cause increased levels of illness and even death. This happens because extreme temperatures can cause the body to be unable to regulate its internal temperature, which can induce large amounts of direct or even indirect health benefits. So basically, like in extreme heat, you can see heat exhaustion, heat cramps, and maybe even heat stroke. And in extreme cold, you'll see frostbite and possibly hypothermia. A newfound study actually published something that's saying that prolonged exposure to high temperatures is directly correlated with hospital admissions for patients suffering from cardiovascular, respiratory, and even kidney conditions. People that live in urban areas are often more susceptible to negative health effects due to the urban heat island effect, which drastically increases already high temperatures. Young children as well as elderly people are also far more susceptible. The increase in temperatures caused by global warming and climate change has extremely negative effects on human health. If temperatures continue to rise, more people around the world will succumb or become more vulnerable to many different forms of temperature-related illness. So, due to continuous years of neglecting environmental guidelines, the amount of pollutants in the air has risen to nearly critical levels. Also, the ever-changing climate has managed to alter weather patterns, which in turn has increased the levels of pollutants in the air, such as ground-level ozone and large amounts of fine particulate matter. Air pollution has also caused an increase in levels of CO2, which stimulates the growth of plants that release copious amounts of airborne allergens into the atmosphere. Poor air quality can have drastic effects on the health of people who live in areas that are affected by these pollutants. Air pollution mostly affects the cardiovascular and respiratory systems of the human body. Besides these effects, high amounts of fine particulate matter and allergens in the air can increase allergic sensitization to asthma attacks, which lowers productivity in the workplace and school. Most of these pollutants come from large cities where copious amounts of carbon monoxide and other harmful pollutants are being dumped into the atmosphere every day. Increases in domestic use of fossil fuels for cars and other items has caused the levels of toxic pollutants in the air to skyrocket over the past few years. Due to the ever-increasing level of air pollution that humans breathe in every single day, they become extremely vulnerable to respiratory, cardiovascular, and other serious health effects. Airborne pollutants can be detrimental to the health of people around the world and should be dealt with accordingly. So, vector-borne diseases. So when the temperatures increase around the globe, it creates prime conditions for the reproduction of parasitic larvae. This leads to the spread of diseases and illnesses that are transmitted in the forms of mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas. These vectors can carry harmful pathogens and bacteria which can be spread from host to host, which makes them highly infectious. The distribution, prevalence, and seasonality of vector-borne diseases is extremely influenced by climate factors such as high temperatures and large amounts of precipitation. Global warming and climate change are known to have both short-term and long effects on the transmission abilities and infection patterns of vector-borne diseases. Due to the increase in temperature and the rise in amount of vectors across the globe, there have been substantial increases in the spread of Lyme disease or spread of diseases such as malaria, Lyme disease, and dengue fever. The spread of these diseases can be attributed to three factors caused by climate change. First is the melting of glaciers, caused by the constantly increasing temperatures around the globe. The second is the upward displacement of plants across the world, and the third and final factor is the upward shift of the freezing level. So this has caused the number of parasites to rise exponentially, meaning that the spread of vector-borne diseases such as malaria and Lyme disease and other stuff like that is only going to go up. So we can only expect the number of infections to increase. So, food safety, nutrition, and distribution. So climate change in the present and in the future has negative effects on Earth's food supply. Due to the increase of CO2 in the atmosphere, higher levels of CO2 in plants lower the quality of many grains consumed by humans, and this has negative effects on their health. The higher levels of CO2 in the plants lower the amounts of protein and essential minerals in many grains consumed by humans. Changes in the climate that are happening currently and changes that are anticipated can affect global food supply through spoilage, contamination, and disruption. Though the level of pollutants may keep rising, many people are trying to incorporate strategies that will help lower the amount of emissions in the atmosphere. So this right here is just like more works cited, just kind of like where I got all my info from. So that's it for my slideshow. Thanks for listening. And this is just kind of like a little end piece, just like a little comedy to lighten the mood. So thanks for listening. Hopefully it was all right, and I'll see you guys around.